I am just one person. I can't change anything. Many of us have said this in our lives, but very little of us actually realize the power that we hold to change everything. When one person says, "I don't have an impact," there are 1 million other people also saying that. Imagine if every one of those million people tried to make a difference. Climate change is real, and it is rapidly changing our planet. It pains me to say that there are still people out there that don't believe that we are harming our planet. But emotions are a very powerful tool, and getting people to feel might be even more powerful than showing them the facts. CO2 emissions are rising every single day. Everything we do, from the cars that we drive, the things that we eat, the places that we live, and the things that we buy, are raising our carbon emissions. Our Earth is changing, and we need to see it before it's too late. Soon, our sea levels will rise, our weather patterns will change, and our ice caps will melt, causing destruction and fires. Our temperatures are rising. States like Florida will go underwater. Farmers will no longer be able to farm crops. Our land masses will decrease significantly. CO2 is a potent gas that is released from all living things. This would be okay if we were living sustainably like we did in the past. But now we have huge industrial plants that mass produce the CO2 and methane gases. We are becoming greedy, and we are taking advantage of our Earth. Our oceans are trying to help us. The oceans take tons of the CO2 that we are overproducing, but even they are being overwhelmed. Because of this mass intake of CO2, the ocean temperatures are rising. Coral reefs cannot sustain this temperature rise, and the fish that depend on these coral reefs die along with them. And when they both go, these ecosystems that have been in place for billions of years before we were here, we will also disappear with them. Our forests and trees are also trying to help, but they too cannot handle the mass overproduction of CO2. We have cut down thousands and thousands of acres of forest to make room for more huge industrial plants, to produce palm oil and make room for cattle. These trees that are in these forests take CO2 and convert it into oxygen for us to breathe. What happens when they are all gone? Just like the ocean, we will disappear with it. "47% of the land in the U.S. is used for food production, and 70% of this land is used to grow food for cattle, just cattle. And only 1% of that land is used to grow food such as fruit and vegetables and nuts. What would happen if we used this land to grow more produce instead of raise cattle? We could cure world hunger. We could drastically reduce our greenhouse emissions by up to 20%. These answers are here, and we need to take advantage of them. Slow your consumption of beef. Turn off the lights when you leave the room. Turn off the water when you're done using it. Start a conversation about climate change. The more people that talk about it, the more people that can take action."
Thank you, Mr. Secretary General, for the honor to address this body, and thanks to the distinguished climate leaders assembled here today who are ready to take action. As a UN messenger of peace, I have traveled all over the world for the last 2 years. I have seen cities like Beijing choked by industrial pollution, ancient boreal forests in Canada that have been clear-cut, and rainforests in Indonesia that have been incinerated. In India, I met farmers whose crops have been literally washed away. In America, I've witnessed sea level rise flooding the streets of Miami. In Greenland and in the Arctic, I was astonished to see that ancient glaciers are rapidly disappearing, well ahead of scientific predictions. All that I have seen and learned on my journey has absolutely terrified me. Now think about the shame that each of us will carry when our children and grandchildren look back and realize that we had the means of stopping this devastation, but simply lacked the political will to do so. Yes, we have achieved the Paris Agreement. More countries have come together here to sign this agreement today than for any other cause in the history of humankind, and that is reason for hope. But unfortunately, the evidence shows us that it will not be enough. A massive change is required right now, one that leads to a new collective consciousness, a new collective evolution of the human race, inspired and enabled by a sense of urgency from all of you. We can congratulate each other today, but it will mean absolutely nothing if you return to your countries and fail to push beyond the promises of this historic agreement. After 21 years of debates and conferences, it is time to declare no more talk, no more excuses, no more 10-year studies, no more allowing the fossil fuel companies to manipulate and dictate the science and policies that affect our future. The world is now watching. You will either be lauded by future generations or vilified by them. You are the last best hope of Earth. We ask you to protect it, or we and all living things we cherish are history.